Hello, I'm Sorospa, bringing you another episode of Gaming Archaeology with Namco Museum Volume 3. Now, the reason I'm starting off at the PlayStation opening screen rather than the usual title screen or whatever is because I really want to show off this opening because I think it's kind of great. Awesome. Is that not great or what? Um, so you might be wondering what Namco Museum Volume 3 is all about. You might have gotten a little bit of an idea from the intro, but basically it's just a collection of Namco arcade games. And you might be asking, if I want to showcase these arcade games, why not just do them as separate episodes? You know, why bother with this weird collection thing? And the reason is because this isn't just a collection. Oh no, this is an actual museum in virtual form. And this is the form that I saw these games in. And I have a real fondness for this. I actually kind of wish more old games had this kind of weird virtual museum thing. I'm really fond of it. Now, a lot of the games in this collection I'm not going to look at because they're fairly well known. I think Pole Position is, Dig Dug, Ms. Pac-Man, Galaxian, maybe not as famous as Galaga, but there's a couple that I really want to talk about today. I don't know if I'm going to do both of these in one episode or split them up. I'm not sure yet. Depends on how much time I can spend on it. So the museum part actually has these actual like exhibits talking about, actual like stuff from the game. It's actually really neat. They've got these little comics. So I really like this idea. Of course, when you get right down to it, everyone's probably here mostly for the games. But I seriously just the whole framing. I guess I'm kind of a fan of these kinds of framing devices. Now we'll just skip over that stuff because I'll tell you what this game is about. Now, apparently Tower of Druaga was pretty popular in Japan, but it never really took off in the US. We've got this like sweet arcade machine sitting in the middle of this dramatic area in front of the tower itself. Man, awesome. So it's a bit of an unusual game. We'll start up on it here, and it'll just kind of look like a little kind of dungeon crawly action game. and you know we play as this little hero and knight guy named Gil. We walk around and we stab things. You'll notice there's a timer in the lower right. If that runs out, then we're gonna start getting chased by invincible enemies that roam the map to kill you, as you do. So we want to take care of that. Now what's that? It's a treasure chest. How did it appear? The thing about that is, every single floor in this game has its own treasure and its own entirely unique requirements for finding that treasure. Did I get the key? I'm gonna feel embarrassed if I didn't. Oh shit. So this is the pickaxe, which you can use to break walls. You can't actually break that many before you damage the pickaxe itself. Shit. I think that the key is randomly placed. And when you start out really slow like this, you can have some problems. I don't know what happens when time runs all the way out. I think there might actually be like another set of enemies that pop up. Oh shit, that's bad. Yeah, that's first level does not usually go this badly. Stealth attack? Hell yeah. I am probably gonna die, which is pretty sad. Boy. Keep it cool, keep it cool, keep it cool. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Well, that could have gone better. So you might want to know a little more about. I lost the key. I lost the key. Are you kidding me? Man, this is an awful level 1. My last test run, the key was just like right there. Anyway, so you might be a little curious about these treasures. So I said earlier, each treasure has a unique requirement for finding it, and so your question might be, well, how do you figure out what the requirements are for each treasure? That is an excellent question, and I have an unfortunate answer for you. You have to figure it out by yourself. Even the fact that there is a treasure on each floor is not given to you, obviously. We're not told anywhere in it. I don't even think that the How to Play guide in the museum tells you about that. Pretty much the secret to Tower of Druaga is the fact that this game basically has like La Mulana style super obscure secrets that are required. These aren't optional. Some of them are, but a lot of them aren't. That you just gotta figure it on your own. And apparently, like, this really hit off with Japanese players. People would kind of talk to each other, kind of, swap information, try and figure out what's going on. It didn't really catch on in the US, which is why this game is pretty unknown, I suppose. Which is understandable. This is something that I would normally call bad game design. That's bad timing. Yeah, the hitboxes of the slimes can sometimes like jump through your sword. It's pretty annoying. I swear to God, on this floor, if I can do this right, this game will actually start to pick up. And by game, I mean me, because my speed is gonna like double. But yeah, I would normally call this kind of thing bad game design. But it's clear that something about this was really compelling to a certain demographic and not really so much to another one. And I find that really interesting. And it kind of makes me think that we like to talk about good design and bad design, but the truth is that we're really just talking about heuristics that tend to match up with what a lot of people like. And admittedly, this game seems kind of niche, especially today. But for the people who like this kind of thing, I would imagine that making it, quote unquote, better designed would take away a lot of what makes it interesting. By the way, in case you're curious, the requirements for the first floor is to kill 3 slimes, 3 green slimes, and the requirement for the second floor is to kill 2 black slimes. So it starts off pretty simple. And for this one, you have to kill a blue knight, but it's a particular blue knight. You can't just, so sometimes you have to kill them both. I do have the key. So this was the main thing as a kid, is I didn't know any of this. I basically, this isn't what I normally do with these games, but just to make it so that I can actually make some progress, I have in fact used a guide to get the information down. Jeez. Dang it. But I was aware of some of the treasures as a kid. I didn't understand how they appeared, and I figured on some level that I must have been missing something important, like I was missing part of the instructions. And as a 10-year-old or something, you can kind of understand that mindset, because most games explain how to play them. And I combed through the museum, looking at stuff that had to do with the game, figuring out what's the secret, where do I need the manual. But it turns out that this is just how the game is meant to be played. So I need to step on the door before. Whoops. That's what happens when I zone out, is I don't actually check my notes. We don't need the chime that badly though. However, what we do need is the white sword from this room, and we need to block 3 of the mage spells. These mages that kind of teleport in. We can block those spells with the shield, but you can see that it's kind of dicey. So we want to catch those spells when we're walking, and we do that 3 times, so that's 2. And if you miss out on the white sword, which is on the 5th floor, shit. It's hard to tell, but I actually pressed down, but the game has kind of a weird control scheme, where, come on, I guess it's gonna play out its little tune first. The game kind of prefers to move you into the center of a square first. So if you're closer to the center of one square than the other, then pressing against a wall will kind of move you towards the center, which sometimes can just move you into an enemy. I meant to move, obviously, down the corridor. But yeah, you can see there's a lot of hidden information in this game, and I'm kind of trying to keep pace, because you can't see the notes that I'm looking at, so you don't really know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think I'm gonna go. Yeah, it's already 14 minutes in. Maybe we will be able to fill up an episode with this one. I don't know. Hopefully this isn't boring, because I think it's definitely less boring once you pick up a little bit of speed. Man, it starts off slow. If you miss the jet boots, you may as well start over. It's not a strictly required item, but good God. Just doing one level like this, it's man. Also, I can't remember if I explained how the pickaxe works. So you get multiple pickaxes throughout the game. The first one is the copper pickaxe. Basically, if you use it twice, you can use it to dig through walls, but only the inner walls. If you try to use it on the thick outer walls, it actually breaks, because that's how the developers of this game roll, I guess. But if you use it twice, it will break. But you you can use it twice before you pick up a treasure chest, before it breaks, and then you get like, hello, there we go. You get like more like it fresh uses, I guess. So you can use it twice in a level, once before you touch the treasure chest and once after. If I understand the guides right and they are accurate, which is a little bit of a dicey proposition because, you know, unless you actually pick apart the code for this game, it's hard to really be sure of anything. So we want to kill 2 black slimes. Now the fun thing about this game, for a certain value of fun, is, you remember I told you that you don't know, actually, because I'm going to pick up the treasure chest, so I can just use this. You don't know what the treasures do, and in fact some of the treasures are bad. So if you don't know what they're gonna do, then they're just gonna screw you over. There's not that many of those, but they do exist. If you just pick up everything, you're gonna have a bad time. In fact, some very, very good items, like all of the best equipment, it actually requires a secondary item to make it work. If you don't have the secondary item called balances, the really good equipment will actually turn evil and become negative. So there's a lot of interesting ways this game kind of screws you over. It's basically a Kaizo game, in a sense. It's very strange that way, and I find it fascinating. I admittedly, when I was a kid, I was really fascinated by this game. It had that kind of draw of something that, let me double check my notes. I swore that I wouldn't actually pause the game to look at my notes, but when I start talking, I forget to look. But yeah, it really had that draw of something that something mysterious. I'd only gotten to like the first few floors of the game, and I always wondered, what was it like? The museum actually has a gallery of enemies. I still messed up the requirements after checking. Oh well. I'm seeing all these like really high level enemies. I'm like wondering, like, what are they like? What would it be like to get to the top and fight the evil Druaga at the very end of the game? I always wondered, and the truth is, knowing what I know now, there was no way I was, man, wizards. There was no way I was ever going to make it to the top. I always dreamed of it though. I really was. God dang. The wizards really are, cheap shots. But hopefully I can get at least past this floor. But yeah, like I was really into this game. Like I drew like comics about like the character, trying to progress through this dungeon and getting attacked by stuff. I believe that a recurring theme of my Tower of Druaga comics was something comically bad happening to the hero. I wonder what that is. I'm gonna have to move on eventually here. Shit. Got one of them at least. But yeah, as far as the gameplay itself, beyond just the weird secrets, when we start getting into wizards, like things get really brutal, because this is just like absolutely relentless. Whew. Jesus. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. I think I broke it. Oh well, I'm not gonna get that far anyway. If I get to floor 7 alright, I can actually get the silver pickaxe, but not anymore. Yes, I've already screwed myself out of a really good item. Let's see. being bad again. So this one's actually pretty simple, but we're introduced to these new enemies which can actually cast fire, which is really a pain in the butt. The way that the knights work is a little bit weird, but you can see me, I'm kind of crossing swords with them. And I think you lose a certain amount of this like invisible energy stat whenever you cross swords with an enemy. I don't know exactly how it works, but I haven't ever like died from it. Shit! I have the candle at least. So honestly, like, I haven't revealed very much of the game's secrets, honestly. If this is the kind of game, the kind of like weird La Moana, weird secrets game that you're into, it might be worth giving this game a try. Because it's kind of seems like it's like the original. Shit. I put away my sword because I saw the wizard and panicked. But yeah, I guess there are a few ways to play this game, depending on how difficult you find it. Probably the the cupcake ways, use a guide and save states. I may end up doing that because it's been literally over a decade of me wondering what it'd be like to get to the top of this tower. And maybe, maybe I'd really feel it. I would feel the victory if I could do it on my own, legit, with no save states. I would love that. Even using a guide, because, like, there's no way I'm ever going to figure out that stuff on my own. I think that's fine. But the game is legitimately really hard. You saw, like, I didn't get past, hold on. I didn't get past floor 6. No, I don't care about saving. The funny thing is, there's actually like 2 extra versions of this game that are even harder and more obscure on this disc. So you could, this basically has like all of, as much Tower of Druaga as you could ever want. Probably more than anyone wants, I think. So we're pretty far in here. And I think that I'm going to cut it off here and probably then record my next episode on Phozon, which I think is actually even more obscure than Tower of Druaga. So I will see you then.